Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Lead Loving Life. Lead a life you love, lead a business you love, lead a community you love. Here we are, and it is, by the time this drops, it will be February 9th. So we are moving right along in this year. After January felt like an entire year itself, it seems to be the energy for February is picking up a little. And it is sunny here, at least today in the Central Valley, where it has been foggy for more days than it has been not. So it was lovely to see the sun early this morning, as opposed to, if at all, in the late afternoon. So I hope the weather is treating you kindly wherever you are listening from. Today, I wanted to talk to you about our power as leaders. One of the ways in which we have the privilege and the responsibility of our power, wherever we're leading, whether it's in our home or in our business or in our community or in our jobs. And this kind of power comes from within us. It is, you can call it what you want. We all call it different things, energy, vibes. It's the feeling that you transmit that can shift the energy and the vibes and the way things are going in a room or in a situation. We all know what that feels like, right? When we walk into a meeting or we walk into some sort of gathering or even in a family gathering, and it's tense and the energy is thick, and you look around wondering what happened, who stepped in it, who is, what's the issue? And rather than like dig into that and trying to figure out what's going on, I feel like it's important that we remember that we can shift the energy, right? We don't need to decrease our energy or match the energy of the room or the space. We can take the lead of that energy, right? Whether we're leading the meeting or the interaction or not, we can still shift that by stepping into our power and using our energy to do so. And I feel like that it is an underutilized and often forgotten way to be bold and be in our power. And I feel like that it is also something we need now. Again, I say this a lot these days. We need it more now than ever before. And to remember that, one by one, the shift in our energy, the shift in our decisions, the shift in our choices ripple out and affect the bigger collective. So I want to encourage that you to remember that. Right now, I talked last episode about presence and really leaning into our own presence. And this is just kind of a next level of that. And it's easy to forget. I'll be honest. It's sometimes, especially if we're a little empathic or a lot empathic, we get caught up in what's going on around us and in the spaces that we're in and outside of us, rather than leaning into the energy and the power and the vibrations that we have within ourselves that we can emit. I think I've talked about this a little bit last episode to remind us all to connect to our own energy in the morning, because sometimes it's just hard to get that high vibration, that high frequency vibe going in the morning. And we talked about doing things like music and dancing around. And, sometimes when we least feel like that is when we most need to do it, driving in our car, belting out lyrics to our favorite songs. I know you do it, and it's okay because it's a fun thing to do, and it's safe and it feels great. It's great for your throat chakra. It's great for you to get back into your body if you're feeling anxious or dysregulated. So, all of that to say that taking that and harnessing that energy and remembering that before you walk into a meeting or into a group of people, or when you notice that something feels off in room with others, or even just a one-on-one meeting. Sometimes you have this meeting planned, or there's an agenda, or there's a topic at least, And you meet with the person and there's a feeling of resistance. It feels like you come in, you sit down, or you stand up, however you're going to meet, and you just feel this resistance in their energy and their vibe. And instead of oftentimes what I can remember doing years and years ago was like trying to figure out like what is going on, like what's the issue? Did something happen? Really just remembering that we can shift it by kicking on our energy and our frequency and our vibes, kicking it up a notch and really just kind of being present and not letting the other energy dominate and take over, right? It's more of a give and take, or you eventually bump up the level of the energy and the frequency in the conversation. That is power, my friends. We as leaders, especially as women leaders, we need to remember that we are empowered and we have power and we need to use it. And one of the things that I love to talk about and I love to work with women around is, we have a different leadership style as women, the majority of us, right? Even those of us that were older and raised in the era of you got to act like a man if you want to get any kind of promotion or even recognized. We still know that we did it differently for the most part. And now we need to step fully into that. We are in crisis as a nation, as a world, because the model that we've been working under in corporations and businesses and education systems and healthcare systems and all of the major systems has been male dominated and very power over, not power with, and collaboration and collective kind of power and shared power. And it's really important for us to stay connected to that and remember the value of that. It is no longer time, if we were doing it recently, to hide our light behind anything, right? A tree or a bush or a rock. It's time to come out. It's time to come out and be forward facing with our energy and our light and our heart and the truth in what we know about being a good leader. And it starts by being a good human, making connections with other good humans, seeing them, acknowledging them, appreciating them. And even if people are struggling in your organization and and there are people struggling in a lot of organizations, it's not about making that bad and wrong. It's about having conversations, right? Really letting them know that they're seen. And if there are challenges, helping them work through those. And ultimately, if they can't be worked through and you have to release them from their job, you do it with respect and dignity. There's nothing wrong with that. It happens. So, the most important thing that I want us to remember is to stay connected to that, to our humanity, to our strong, person centered, relationship centric way of leading, and remembering how powerful that is. When was the last time that someone gave you an encouraging word? And how did that make you feel? Like I can see when I work with people, they just light up sometimes because that's the only encouraging word they've heard in a long time. I was working with a client last week. It's a one-on-one executive client session. And, she was having a difficult couple of weeks. And she was having a hard time seeing the progress that she had made and the things that she had maintained, the goals that she had set for herself earlier, because she just felt so like she wasn't doing what she wanted to be doing at the level she wanted to be doing it. So we had a great conversation. We had a great session. We talked it through. And I got this email afterwards, in addition to the comments at the end of our session, that she just said, "You have no idea how much of a difference this made in my day." And it's so important to reflect to others what you see in them and recognize the impact that they're making. And remember that at the core of all of us, that is truly one of our basic needs, to be seen, to truly be seen, not just seen, like passing by, right? To be seen for who we are and connected in that way. And women, for the most part, are great at that, right? We remember things about their kids, about a project they were working on the weekends. And it just validates that we're human and we have meaning in our connections. Even if it's a professional only connection, there's still so much juice in that. And there's so much joy to be shared. And we all need the joy and inspiration anywhere we can get it these days. So I wanted to just take this episode as a quick little reminder for you to do that, to empower yourselves and re-empower yourselves, because every day is a new day and every day we start fresh, right? So if the day before felt like it was a slog and we did not make the impact that we want to make in our daily lives, and we know that we all have those days, but sometimes it feels like it's personal, right? Like it's just us having that day. So I want you to remember that you have the choice every day to empower yourself. Again, this gets back to the morning time and starting your day. And many of us don't have the luxury of having a long morning routine or something that takes a lot of space and time because we have other responsibilities. However, as I have been recommending to my clients lately, if you need to take 5 minutes and just catch your breath, listen to some high vibe music, listen to a quick meditation, sit in your car and do it. In the parking lot at work, in the parking lot before you go into your office, in the parking lot at a coffee shop, wherever you are at your kid's school, take that time and take some deep breaths and ground into your body. And remember that you are powerful. Make the choice to step boldly out into that power and give that leadership from that place of a full heart. Share that energy and that connection with people and set the energy where you go. Don't respond to it. Set the energy. And even if you can't do it in your car, or if you need it later on in the day and you can't get out of the office, go to the bathroom and just hang out in there for 5 minutes. It doesn't sound like a lot of time, and then it sounds like a ton of time if you look at it from another perspective, right? 5 minutes to reset your energy and your whole attitude is not a lot to invest. So I'm just giving you some hints on how to do this and how to do it well, because we need you. And we've all been there. I have had those times myself, cars and bathrooms, and it works. And that's important. That's what we need to do. And right now it seems to be like, it's easy to get distracted and off path and off purpose. And, all of a sudden we look up and, not only is our energy wacky, our mind is like, what was I doing? You've lost track of what you were doing. And, it's overwhelmed. There's so much going on in the world, and it's overstimulating and it's horrific. And if we get lost in that even for a minute, it can take us on a path that is not going to be helpful for what we want to do, how we want to be present, and how we want to feel. So I wanted to touch in with you today and touch bases and just talk about that. Like, I know the struggle oftentimes of getting things done and going into a room and just trying to knock things out. We have those to-do lists, we have those things that are calling our name, and I want you to remember your power. And that is going to be an ongoing theme, because that's what we all need right now, is to remember our own power, because individually we can shift things. We can shift the energy of a meeting, of a room. We can shift our community. We can ultimately make bigger shifts in our nation and in our world. We have to start with ourselves first. I just want to thank you so much for listening. I know that you have so many options out there for podcasts, and I am so grateful that you listened to mine. I would love it if you have a friend or a colleague or another entrepreneur that you know, if you would share this episode and any other episodes that you've loved that I've done with them. My personal mission is to make a positive impact on women. So every extra listen or stream just makes me smile. And I want the opportunity to be of service and make a positive impact on you and your community and our community. So take a minute, give this a share, make sure you're following, subscribing, liking, commenting, rating, all of those things, because that's what helps me get into more people's feeds. I want you to have an amazing day, whatever day you're listening to this, an amazing week. And I want you to always, always, always come back to yourself. Come back to that grounded version of yourself and your power. Because when you're grounded and you're regulated and you're coming from your heart, that's where it's at. That's where your impact comes from. That's where your power lies. Beautiful souls, thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next episode.